Donald Trump has deployed more soldiers to LA again because he has to. He has to do it. He's not just choosing to do it. He's not just trying to inflame these protests. He's not trying to create a distraction from the horrible bill, create a distraction from him being on the Epstein files or what. No, it's not any of that. Stop saying that. It's nothing to do with that. He has to send 2,000 more National Guard troops. He had to send the Marines because America could end as a result of what's happening in LA. And so this is all totally reasonable. I've been huffing a lot of paint and it makes me feel a lot better about what's going on in our country. And so there are people who say, hey, sending the Marines seems like kind of an overreaction because generally the only times they've been deployed domestically is like major crises like Hurricane Katrina or September 11th. And so Katrina, September 11th, my entire life I've considered those to be major crises. They got nothing on LA though. Those are tiny, teeny little things. LA's the big crisis. And so, yes, the Marines, those who are first in, last out in military conflicts are needed to stop the people that spray painted and threw a rock. And look, a rock can be dangerous. A person can be hurt by a rock. I don't think we need the greatest fighting force in the world to contain these protesters when all you'd need to do, like if you actually, sarcasm aside, if you actually wanted to end this thing, you know what you could do? It's wild. ICE could leave. That would be it. You could not try to round up these day laborers and people who work in the garment district. And you could just go, and that's it. That would be done. Unfortunately, that's not what Donald Trump wants. First of all, he wants the deportations, but more important than that, he wants the conflict, and so he is manufacturing it. Because when regular people who are not crazy like me and Sharon, or crazy like you for watching a show like this, see that he sent 700 Marines, normal people think, oh, it must be necessary. It's not, but that's what they think because they're reasonable people and Donald Trump is relying on that. Now, Gavin Newsom, who I am hardly a big fan of, has been trying to fight back against all this in some ways. He's been putting out tweets showing how crazy this is, how they're not asking for this help. He said, let's get this straight. Local law enforcement didn't need help. Trump sent troops anyway to manufacture chaos and violence. Trump succeeded, which is true, and he'll probably do it in other places too. Now things are destabilized and we need to send more law enforcement just to clean up Trump's mess, which is totally the case. The LAPD had been saying in the first 2 nights that things were under control. Trump created whatever level of crisis we actually have. And Gavin Newsom continues saying US Marines serve a valuable purpose for this country, defending democracy. They are not political pawns. Secretary of Defense is illegally deploying them onto American streets so Trump can have a talking point at his parade this weekend. And I like that he's tying it to the parade. We'll talk about that later on the show, but he's totally right that Trump wants to present himself with tanks and planes in the background as the defender of stability when he's the one who launched the insurrection. Notice he didn't want to send in anyone to stop January 6th, but instantly, against the will of the governor and the mayor, he sends in the National Guard. And so Gavin Newsom calls on them to actually do something. Trump, continuing to just create a crisis that doesn't exist, says if he didn't send in the troops, LA would be burning to the ground. That would be it. And then he brings up his conspiracy theories about what happened with the fires or whatever. I don't particularly care about that. But all of LA would be on fire. So those people who were willing to risk life and limb to stop people from being deported would go to Santa Monica and Inglewood and Watts and Glendale or whatever. And they'd just be burning the whole city down because they're mad at what Trump and ICE are doing. Now, none of this makes any sense except for the political calculations, which I'm sure we'll get into more. And we do have more to say about Gavin Newsom and how he might end up in jail, I guess. But Sharon, this is your first time weighing in on what's happening in LA. What do you think?
Yeah, and you mentioned January 6th. Remember how the National Guard, Maryland, they were all at the ready, begging the administration to let us come in and help. We're ready. And he didn't do it because this is all political theater. That's what it is. And I think what Donald Trump and his cronies and Stephen Miller and the rest are really worried about is that people are awake now. They're fully awake and they are not okay with what's going on here, and it's becoming louder and more energized. And so he has to tamp it down. But yes, most of it is theater and letting people in the rest of the world and perhaps other red pockets think that LA is on fire. It's not, but hey, never stopped him before.
Yeah, 100%. They had it. They would have been perfectly fine. We spend so much money on the LAPD. We have a massive police department. He chose to do this. They chose to do it. And not just for this crisis, but also they're pushing on all these little things. What will people allow? Okay, National Guard, I guess we can do that. Okay, now we're doing the Marines. Now the Marines are arresting people, which is literally illegal. They literally cannot do that. But I guess they can now because they're doing that. They might start arresting political leaders. They already arrested that union leader like on day one. And so we're just pushing and pushing and pushing and seeing what can I do? What can I do? What can I do in Dallas, which we'll get to? What can I do with other protests about other issues? And as many people are saying, what can I do around the elections? You know, people I guess are already used to the Marines being there. They're already used to the National Guard. I don't have to listen to what the governors say. So maybe in Wisconsin, maybe in Michigan, maybe in Georgia, I need to send in the National Guard because there was a protest around like a voting location, like maybe it was the Proud Boys, whatever. Doesn't matter. Now I need to send people in. And if they can arrest people when it's not legal for them to do that, maybe they can seize other things too. You see how they're just pushing the bounds on all of these things? In any event, California has sued the Trump administration. Good luck with that, with our DOJ and our SCOTUS. Now, some judges have done rulings that are reasonable. That is true. This is perhaps the only option we have. But in any event, the idea that he's declaring them to be insurrectionists, that he's already sent in active duty military personnel, I don't know what comes after this. I don't know if he's F-22s are buzzing LA, or if they're literally start shooting people. And we all need to be prepared for that, I think, as citizens. Also, right-wing media, you probably will want to prepare your talking points. If they can't state this thing, if they start gunning down protesters, you're obviously gonna be okay with that, but how exactly? What exactly are you gonna say to justify the murder of protesters in the streets? Have your talking points ready. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?